Justice League Dark issue 13. James Tynion the fourth, writing with Mark Buckingham on the art. All right.
There's a couple of arts actually. And Sam Pear, I believe, was the other one off the top of my head.
And what's cool, this isn't one where they use the multiple artists effectively, because we get the new origin, not the new. I'll say new to me. I didn't realize this was Dr. Fate's origin.
Yeah.
The stuff with the dad and him being a kid, and he's basically Shazam.
He's not the only Fate to have been aged up immediately either.
Yep. Nope. And so I didn't realize that was a thing of Fate. And I like that. And what does that mean for Kit Nelson, with his wife and whatnot? He never got a childhood.
No, exactly. So we should mention the reason the art works is because it's split into chapters. So the first one is the last Lord of Order. It's about it's like I was saying there, it's Fate's origin. It's it's a young child, Kent Nelson and his father going into on an exploration.
Yep.
And then Naboo kind of talking to Kent and kind of tricking him into killing his father.
Yeah, with this poison gas trap from this Egyptian tomb, and then basically manipulating him because to take the helmet of fate. It's almost like, okay, so this dude's been bad from the start.
Yeah, he kind of blasts all the knowledge into his head, changes his body into that of an adult, but also his mind.
Peak human.
Peak human. It's the best he would ever be, and also it evolves his mind to that point. Also, he hasn't still got it's not like Shazam where he's still got the mind of the kid. He is in every aspect of the word adult.
An adult.
Yeah.
So, but the Mark Buckingham, it's a very pulpy style,
gorgeously clean, fantastic coloring work as well from Adriano Lucas.
Yep. So, and then we get them, in modern times, whereas Kent's like, I don't want to put the helm back on.
I can't ever do this again. I don't trust myself.
And I don't trust Naboo because it's been a manipulation from the start.
Yeah.
And you find out that to release himself from wherever he was, he kind of drug Kent's dad along. It was all a sacrifice to do this. And you're just like, oh man, his version of Order does suck.
Yeah.
When you look, and that's what I'm liking what Tynion's doing with magic is there's not really dark magic or light magic. It's all into how you use it.
Absolutely.
Right?
And
magic is neutral. And same with order and chaos is you can use order for evil and you can use chaos.
There's kind of always been an assumption that order was the good one, but that's just not clearly not true.
And that goes through the thread in one of the other stories where we get Constantine.
We should mention before we move on, Ken offers to stay and advise Khaled on being the new Fate, but even he's not too sure about it. He's like, well, maybe in a few years. I don't know if I'm ready for that.
That's what I was going to get back into because you have a lot of doubt over these characters in the Justice League Dark because of what's coming.
Yeah, and
through Zatanna, Constantine, Khalid, Kent, even Diana.
Yeah, no one is wearing the helmet at the end of this story. Nope. It's not like definitively this is who Fate is. It's kind of left open for now.
Yep. And then we get to the second part in the Oblivion Bar, which is Secrets and Origins. And this is where Sam Pierre comes in. And it's Zatanna. Yeah. It's a lot darker. So Connor was talking about the clean lines and the colors in the first part with Buckingham. But the Sam Pierre stuff is almost the polar opposite, where it's dark and moody, and you can kind of feel the smokiness of the bar.
I love the way the colors. Who's the colors in this one? Joan Albara.
Yep.
Plays with the lighting because they've got the hanging spotlights that you get in a bar, and the way they kind of reflect off the bottle that Constantine's drinking. So it looks great.
Yep. And so you have Constantine doubting himself, much like Kent was, but in a different way, because you find out like Zatanna and Constantine have this relationship because of her dad, because he kind of saw all of this stuff coming and wanted to prepare these two.
Yeah, he kind of recruited Constantine to be able to do these shittier things.
And that because you need balance. So Zatanna will be, she's going to do what the family should do.
She's the order to his chaos.
Right, exactly. And Constantine he feels like he's been flim-flammed, which that's usually him doing to other people. and he doesn't like that. He feels like he's been used by, the great and noble Zatara, because you get to see, and I don't know. So you're the Constantine guy.
Yep.
Is this his origin
Yes,
of the exorcism?
Yeah, this art here, where they go to the Casanova Club in Newcastle.
Yep.
Holy crap, that art is fantastic. That looks so much like the original stuff back in like early Hellblazer, like 10 or 12, something like that, around that range. It looks straight out of that.
Well, because the colors get muted. It looks like an old comic.
I want to say as well, Buckingham, I believe, actually inked that issue.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, so there's that weird connective continuity, which is really cool.
Because I went back and I picked up the Tales of the New Teen Titans, which serves as the origin for Cyborg, Beast Boy, Raven, and Starfire. Because I feel, being a fan of, those characters, I need to read the origins.
Yeah.
It's kind of tough because the comics are a little bit different. Structured now. But this art looks like it was pulled from that era.
Oh, it's straight out of the 80s. Yeah, it looks fantastic.
So I got to this page, and I'd been reading the Cyborg book earlier in the week, and I was like, oh man, look at this. So that's why I had to ask if this was his actual, or if Tynion.
I think Tynion may have actually tweeted a comparison of this versus the original art. So if you want to check that out, go look at his Twitter. Worth looking at.
But yeah, so at the end of this, this is a whole issue where nothing really happens. But I think the thing that Tynion he revels in, because it does move a lot of the story pieces forward here. And now you have this Justice League that was formed to bump back against the dark, right?
Yeah.
To now they're just like, I don't know what we're bumping back against.
This is the issue that Pete always wants. Okay, everything's done. Let's just sit down and wallow in pity of ourselves, kind of, essentially. Nothing happens.
No, but everything happens at the same time.
Nothing plot-wise.
No. So you have on one side you have Diana and Khalid and Kent. They're doubting of, like, do we even need a fate? Like, this has been more problem than it's worth. But they all kind of agree at the end that someone's gonna have to wear the helm.
Yeah, and they're supposed to be the Justice League representing magic, yet they've only got one magician on the team in Zatanna. Right. They need another high profile one to give them legitimacy, even aside from the actual fighting the threats, just on a PR level amongst the community.
Right. So, and then on the other side you have Zatanna, who she's going to doubt herself because all this stuff that's been put in motion by her father. And you have Constantine being like, is their whole relationship even, is it even real? Yeah. Because it's all been manipulated from the start. And there's just the whole vibe of manipulation in this issue, from Naboo to the Nelsons, to even, we kind of skipped over it, Kent feeling bad about his wife being kept up in the Tower of Fate, because if she ever left the tower, she might not ever be able to get back.
Yeah, and the idea that she felt obligated to stay with Kent because she felt like she was his last link to humanity, and if she left him, what would fate do to Kent now? What would there be anything of Kent left?
Yeah. And so I thought about this in the whole. Tynion has basically turned this in, and it might just because I miss Shazam and that whole thing, because it hasn't been the most consistent book. But how Johns has turned the power of Shazam into a family thing, right?
Yeah.
They can all count on each other. And you had the wizard looking, to fill the 7 seats. And now you have Naboo just being like, nah, I don't believe in all this. I need order, and it's just me. And I don't even care if it's going to ruin your life. This is what we need to do. And he's almost I don't want to say an antagonist, but he's the opposite of the wizard Shazam. Or just, if we're calling him now, the wizard.
Yeah.
Of this, that, and Pete's going to hate this because of Star Wars, right? But it's that episode of Clone Wars where they go into the Force users. And, you have the dark and the light, and they're both struggling,
Yeah,
here,
the Mortis arc, I believe it was called. Yeah.
And you have the father who's the balance.
Yeah, and you have the son and the daughter who were light and dark, and the world would tear itself apart without either of them.
Right. And that's why I feel here is like now we have on the light side, let's say the order side, we have Shazam and Naboo who are odds. And then on the chaos side, we have Mordru and whoever else will rise. You know, let's say it's Zatanna, right? Or it's Zatara for the chaos. And they're at odds. And them being at odds is keeping everything in balance, which is keeping the other kind, right, at bay. And now Naboo completely upset the balance by trying to reestablish the Lords of Order, and now the other kind have broken through.
Yeah. I just want to mention as well, I was flicking through. I made a slight mistake. This second section is actually the same colorist, Gianna Lucas.
Okay.
Jonan Balron was the inker on this second part.
Gotcha. But it was, it's really, I'm loving this book. And I'm not a Magic guy, right? Like, I like to say this, but this is one of the books I look forward to every month now.
Yeah.
Witching Hour was kind of rough, but I feel like that was getting stuff out of the way to tell the story now.
Yeah, definitely. We should mention there's a very brief third section, 2 pages at the end of the
formula.
Offer. Yeah. It's fine. The only interesting thing that comes out of it is Lex is kind of he's talking to Cersei and he says, Magic had its own Justice League, isn't it time it had its own Legion of Doom? So we're going to have like the anti Justice League Dark, to rival them. Which does
I'm not mad at.
Yeah,
I'm not mad at that, but it definitely felt tacked on. It was 2 pages. One of this little ship coming in, and then one of her holding what looks like a lightning bolt type deal.
No, absolutely tacked on. But as we've been trying to say, we're not going to hold it against it too much because most of them just feel like this, and the rest of the issue is absolutely fantastic.
Yep.
So I guess rating.
Yeah. Yep. I'm going to go 8.5.
I'm going to push it up to a 9 because of the art.
Yeah. That's really good.